Oh, hi! I didn't see you there. My name's Randy Singer, and I'm an ichthyologist. I'm here in a museum, but not the type of museum you're probably thinking of. I'm in a research museum, or a collection. Most public museums have a research collection. What you see when you go to a public museum is usually about 1% of the total holdings that a museum has. Here, the other 99% are stored for researchers to come and use. In many museums, just like this one, specimens and their data are housed for use. Fish collections, like this one, are fluid-based. That is to say, the specimens are stored in a fluid to protect them. In this case, it's 70% ethanol. There's a wide variety of unique methods for managing fish collections. Come on, let's take a look. Fish collections are head up by a curator who's usually in charge of the research program, a collection manager who's in charge of the staff and the collection, and several technicians who are in charge of data input and loans. Specimens are housed several ways, including large steel containers for big specimens that include heavy gaskets and alcohol-proof seals to keep alcohol in, as well as cleared and stained specimens, which are housed in glycerin, and skeletal specimens, which can be housed either in collection or with joint partnerships with departments such as zooarchaeology. Most specimens, however, are stored inside glass jars with polypropylene lids with an alcohol-proof label clearly visible inside the jar. The lids sometimes can be marked with the catalog number so you can find them easily on the shelf. The labels themselves include the institution, catalog number, fluid that the specimen's in, family number, locality information, determiner, and any geographic coordinates. Tissue samples are taken and stored in -80 freezers for genetic studies. Each file is labeled and associated with a voucher specimen. Specimens are housed taxonomically from most primitive to most advanced from either the left or the right side of the collection. Within a shelf, they're organized alphabetically by genus and then by species. This way, collection staff can easily retrieve or return jars to the shelves for loans or for research. Specimen data is kept within a database, so collection staff can access the data or share it online. Methods for fish collection are just as diverse as the types of fishes that are targeted. Careful thought needs to be put into deciding which method to use based on the habitat. Less targeted methods, such as electroshocking via boat or electroshocking via backpack, are good ways to capture hard-to-catch fishes. In addition, the age-old technique of seining works really well, along with boat trawling, which involves dragging a net along the bottom of the ocean. More targeted methods include the ever-popular fishing with a rod and reel. Lesser-known methods include ROV or remote-operated vehicle capture for specimens in deep water, or market collecting, where the biologist peruses markets to find fishes captured by the locals. No matter what method is chosen for capturing fish, careful thought and planning need to go into preparing for any collecting event, and proper field information needs to be taken. Speaking of field data, it's important to record as much information as possible from any collecting trip. Nothing is too trivial to record or add to the data set. Clear, concise field data provides the lifeblood of any fish collection. So here we have an example of a typical field notes. So it has the institution name at the top. If you're just doing research on your own, most people put their name or their initials, because initials are very important in distinguishing collectors. We have the locality information, which is the specific verbal description of where the fish was collected. We have a field number, which the researcher can make up on their own, but that number gets carried through to the collection during databasing. You can have information about the ecology or the geology of the site where you collected. Here we have, time, depth, what time of day it was, information on the substrate, and then any personal notes that you have at the end about what you saw while you're there. Sometimes people add
information about cohabitating species that they saw while they were there, anything about precipitation, and literally there's no such thing as too much information when it comes to field notes. And then in addition, they have the number of specimens that they collected while at the site with field IDs, and then in some cases sizes and other information. And these field sheets can go to the collection with the specimens, and these provide really good resources for other people when they come and access the specimen. On your tissue sheet, you should make sure that you have a detailed description of the vial number, as well as the date collected, the field number with the associated voucher specimens, a tentative field ID that you can change later when the specimen's cataloged, where the specimen was tissued on the body, and then later you leave space to put the catalog numbers of the voucher specimens that you've collected. It's important to always have a voucher specimen to go with the tissue when possible.
And always tissue a specimen before it goes into formalin solution. Proper specimen preservation is crucial in providing good specimens for scientific research.
So the first step in fish preservation is preparing your formalin solution. So most formaldehyde solution you buy from distributors comes as 37%. So you want to dilute it down to 10%, and that's just the right concentration to preserve a fish when you put it in a jar like this one. What I like to do is put the right proportion of formaldehyde solution and then fill the rest up with water in a small container like this and just give it a good shake. And then you can add it to whatever size container you're using. And then you want to remember that when you're working with formalin solution, it is carcinogenic, and you always want to do your work in a fume hood like this, and also using gloves. So here we have our fresh specimen that was euthanized according to your institution's IACUC standards, which change from place to place. So make sure you look that up. And he's ready to go through the preservation process, which starts with formalin solution. The fish will stay in the formalin solution. Typically, it depends on the size of the fish. It can be anywhere from a couple of days to a couple of weeks for larger fish. Sometimes fishes are too large to preserve via immersion. So you might have to use a syringe like this one. So what you simply do is you take your 10% formalin solution, you dip your syringe in, and then you inject the soft parts of the fish where needed. And then you can transfer the specimen to a larger container. Another thing that's popular is also if injecting isn't working, you can use a scalpel and you can make small incisions, so when the fish is immersed in the large tank, the formalin can preserve the fish. The next stage, after it's been sitting in its formalin solution, you want to remove the fish from the jar, which I'm not going to do here, and you place it into water, preferably deionized water, and that will help to leach out the formalin prior to the next stage. So the next stage after the formalin's been leached from the specimen, you stage it into 70% ethanol. That's what ichthyologists have decided is the acceptable concentration. Some collections use 75, but 70 is what the majority use. Before your freshly preserved specimen, which is now in 70% ethanol, is ready to go to the shelf, we need to print out a label on alcohol-proof paper like this one, and it has all the locality information, the name of the fish, and the catalog number, and that goes inside the jar, so that way, no matter what happens to the specimen in the future, its information will be inside the jar.
Following preservation, the specimen can remain in the collection for as long as someone is around to care for it. Specimens from the 1800s are not uncommon in long-term collections. Researchers can access the physical specimen via collection visits or loans, and can additionally access data such as locality information and genetic sequences via web portals connected to the databases. These important vessels of biological, ecological, and systematic data have limitless uses in scientific research, education, and community outreach. Furthermore, advances in digitization have allowed scientists to share important specimen data on a global scale. Who knows what uses still remain to be uncovered for museum specimens, just like ones here in our fish collections.